But Twitter being Twitter is losing its mind over this correction. I get messages, is this the one? I'm like, calm down. You should be expecting at least another 4 or 5 of these over the course of the next year. They've got to roll the debt. And they can't at high levels because it just means the compounding of debt. And if Elon is serious about trying to get the payments down, well, debt's the biggest one. So now Bic said this for a very long time now, is the greatest macro opportunity of all time. Or Solana or Sui or Apps or whatever it is, right? These things are incredible wealth generating machines. I don't see a reason why this is not going to be a 2017 redux.
This cycle is about to go absolutely bananas. The banana zone is finally here. That's the latest message out from macro investor Raoul Pal. For those of you who don't know, Raoul Pal is the CEO and co-founder of Real Vision. Raoul is a veteran of the crypto space and wrote his first research paper on Bitcoin back in 2013. In his latest interview with Scott Melker, Raoul goes over exactly where we are in the cycle right now, what we can expect from the markets going forward, and how Donald Trump has impacted the crypto industry. Make sure you stick around to the end of the video where Raoul breaks down his exact portfolio for this bull run. And if you could drop a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, that'd be much appreciated. Anyways, let's get back to what Raoul has to say.
Let's look at the last Trump administration. So from September to the end of the year, the dollar rallied. September, the end of the year, rates went up. Same narrative. It was all about tariffs and, what's he going to do and how's it going to play out? Almost exactly as the year turned, the dollar went lower and rates went lower. So I've been producing a chart showing that global liquidity tightened and it has a 10-week lead time. And that should mean that at the end of the year, we get a correction. Now, that would not be surprising. Let's say Bitcoin gets to 120, it corrects back down to 100. I mean, that's just normal course of business. But Twitter being Twitter is losing its mind over this correction. I get messages, is this the one? I'm like, calm down. You should be expecting at least another 4 or 5 of these over the course of the next year. They're just regular. But for some reason, that people are losing their minds. But once that's out of the way, usually it should be good. Now, liquidity needs to come back. So we need to see the dollar weaken. We need to see rates come down somewhat. Those are key things for us. I don't see any reason why not. And then there's a bunch of technical stuff like the draining of the Treasury General account over the period for the budget negotiations and stuff like that. And normally that's a big injection of liquidity. And the Fed are doing other rinky-dink stuff like they're going to cut interest rates on the reverse repo, which basically is trying to force money out of money market funds and into the private sector.
So everybody wants liquidity.
Everybody.
Right? And they're willing to force it by any means necessary. Like everything you just described were just ways for them to find more money in corners that we haven't looked into to inject more liquidity.
Well, because they've got to roll the debt. And they can't at high levels because it just means the compounding of debt. And if Elon is serious about trying to get the payments down, well, debt's the biggest one. It's now bigger than the military. So they've got to do that. The other side of the equation is we all know China's in trouble right now. Its economy's a mess. Bond yields keep falling. And really why China's in a problem is it can't stimulate without losing its currency. And it doesn't want to do that. So what it needs desperately is the US to inject liquidity so it too can inject liquidity. It needs a weaker dollar. Everybody needs a weaker dollar. Now, last time Trump got in, one of the first things he said is, we want a weaker dollar. If you think about what they want to do, they want to export US goods. They want a weaker dollar. They just want a weaker dollar. And they're going to have to do that.
Is there a path where the dollar flies? Some unexpected way that happens, or can they pull whatever lever they want and make this happen? I'm always impressed by how far they can kick these cans down the road.
Yeah, I mean, they want the weaker dollar. The stronger dollar is something nobody wants, but let's say it happens. Well, what is Scott Bessent likely to do? He's likely to inject more liquidity somehow, some way, because what they don't want is to, this administration above all others seems to be really focused on the midterms.
Which makes sense.
They've already raised a ton of money and they're like, if we need to get anything done, we need 4 years. If not, it's a shit show. Can we have the the Senate, the House, everybody for 4 years, then we can get stuff done. And that's, I think, what all of their sort of heavy level advisors are, is like, this is the important thing. So the last thing they want is to fuck up the economy in the meantime. Nobody wants that. They want a nice, strong economy without too much inflation, without, but they want a decent picture. So I think they're going to do anything they can to do that. It's extra. I mean, what a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. I mean, yes, look, there is an enormous amount of speculative risk taking, but this is, and I've said this for a very long time now, is the greatest macro opportunity of all time. Yes, you can be ultra safe and just own Bitcoin and you'll do very well indeed. Or you can try and figure out how to make more money, because really, you got a tailwind. Everything goes up. When the music stops, a lot of this stuff goes to zero. But I don't blame people for playing the game. And the game of the biggest mid stuff, okay, that's a very big game indeed. The when Ethereum started, or Solana, or Sui, or Apps, or whatever it is, right? These things are incredible wealth generating machines.
And there's no friction overhead, right? So you talked about the dinosaur coins. I mean, XRP pulling 5-ish X, right? Cardano had a huge move at the same time. Algorand, HBAR, right? So many of these older coins that a lot of people said, listen, these things can never go up like this again. There's too many bag holders, too much friction, too many people who are looking to sell on every pump. And there they go. In a matter of weeks, it happens. So imagine what happens with the shiny new things, like the ones that you just mentioned, that hit blue skies and don't have people who are angry and have been holding the coin for 4 years and are looking to sell it. People have doubted that this cycle will be the same or that it will happen again.
Well, you and I have been around this space long enough.
I think it's going to be bigger. I think it's going to be bigger.
I kind of agree. Unless something blows up global liquidity, something dramatic changes, which is where we started this conversation. I don't see a reason why this is not going to be a 2017 redux.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah, let me take the sort of flip side, devil's advocate. We have Sui and Aptos and Monad and all the layer 2s and everything coming online. It's a lot of supply. We still have unlocks from previous cycles that are coming, huge unlocks of other tokens. How much retail do we need for everything to go up, right? I mean, how much interest is there going to have to be to buy all of these things, these new pre-sales and VC-backed tokens that are going to all launch at the same time? I guess that's the first question. And B, how many of them are we going to actually need? Like, how much block space? We used to argue, like, well, there's not enough block space for all the things crypto is going to do. Now it's like, what's going to fill all of this space?
So there's an interesting structure to markets, is there are more VCs and airdrops than there are secondary professional pools of capital in crypto. Call them hedge funds. It's quite funny because everyone's like, those bad VCs, they get tokens early, they dump them. What's happening with Pengu today? Everyone's taking their cash machine and selling it immediately.
It dumped to crap, huh? I didn't really look, but I saw a lot of red.
I don't know, but they've all done the same. And I've still got shrapnel of my ape coin and all of the shit that I was like, my MFA coin, you get given this stuff. It's like free money. Isn't it amazing? I've just been given 10 grand. 3 days later, it's worth 12.
I heard people who held a Pudgy Penguin at the launch got $85,000 worth of Pengu token. Okay. Anyways, yeah, it's a lot of money.
So why there was the big fall is there's not enough secondary buyers because it's retail. The hedge fund industry, which, I've got this asset manager, Xpan, which invests in crypto hedge funds. There's not that many that are of any size. And the total size of that industry is maybe $10 billion. The traditional hedge fund industry, $4 trillion. So what happens is the VCs exit, think of that as an IPO, early IPO, and there's not enough asset managers to buy it. So prices fall 80%, 70% before they clear. And then these guys do their homework and say, what do they want to own here? Do I want to own Aptos when it comes out and dumps, or Sui when it comes out and dumps, or Monad when it comes out and dumps? Retail could play that game, but they tend not to because the retail are always the IPO buyers. Oh my God, Pengu's out today, I must buy it. Smash. But I think it's just a structure of markets thing. So I don't think we need retail. I think we need more institutional money into the hedge funds and the professional trading to have professional capital lower the volatility and make the space a little more functional.
Because it does seem that there's a lot less interest in the bigger name shiny new things. Like meme coin's shiny new thing is something that's hot for an hour or a day or a week, but the big next layer one that's going to revolutionize crypto, those VCs, to your point, have been in it for years, probably, if months or years. And if they're going to sell on those first unlocks, you're going to need a lot of buyers.
I mean, generally speaking,
a lot of buyers.
But
they've gone up, and it hasn't even been a bull market.
The big investors like A16Z tend not to sell.
That's right.
It tends to be the smaller shops who need the liquidity tend to sell. The more kind of crypto native shops, they tend to be the sellers. But yeah, we are going to need a lot of liquidity to deal with this. And normally these unlocks really add pressure on the downside in the down cycle.
Right.
And that's why these things go down 99%. And then after that, we can figure it out what's a good token. But the other point you made earlier is how much block space we need and what type. We are going to need an astronomical amount of block space if we're going to put the whole internet on this. But are we going to need infinite number of block space providers? Definitely not. How scalable are the ones that are out there now? Most of them are very scalable. And Ethereum will sort its shit out and it'll become extremely scalable as well. And therefore, you kind of think there's not much room for others. Some will be more niche and some will be like for gaming and some will be
the gaming chain, the NFT chain, the metaverse chain, if that's a thing. Yeah.
Could be, or it just could accrue to the top 5, whatever those are. And Bitcoin being separate because it's not a smart contract. But yeah, the top 5 smart contracts, and that war will fight out like it was with computer manufacturers, like it was with email providers, like it was with, it's everything. It's cloud.
In this case, you can make a lot of money on the ones that die before they do. Because you have the speculation cycle before you have an adoption cycle. And we all know that in the next 6 months, it's going to be.
And don't forget, these things never die. Tokens never die. Unlike
FTT is trading at like $1 billion market cap or something.
Yeah. You and I know at some point there'll be an enormous rally in Luna. Because what a fucking meme. The thing that blew up the world last time, at some point we'll be looking around, it's trading at $50 billion. You're like, what the fuck? But because these things don't die, the tokens never go away, which is another bizarro world.